What's good, y'all, and welcome to another vid. It's once again this time of the week, month, year where we take a look at what is happening on the Forerunner servers to get a glimpse of what we can expect for us. And with the way the pacing is going, this seems to be arriving in May. So we have hero reworks, hero buffs, QoL, hero interaction changes, and a huge change to the endgame landscape of this game. So without further ado, let's get straight into it and see what this is all about. So first off, we have a hero rework to a character that shouldn't be all that familiar to many of you, and that is Numera. So Numera has been a staple on the Forerunner servers for quite a few months now. She should have arrived on a November banner or even maybe a September banner back on global, but that never came to be and we never got her in the first place. She shares some similarities with Yovar, but calling her Yovar's wife is about as far from the truth as possible. I think they're like hard rivals, and in the end Yovar kills her for her spears to then use himself. It's a bit finicky, but don't expect a bond skill even though they just look alike, alright? What she was able to do, or what she was most known for, is this right here, where she inflicts stun when she consumes Grimthorn Spikes, which is her main mechanic, through her ultimate, and it also triggers Toxic Surge. Toxic Surge was the ability to consume all stacks of poison and then deal a huge amount of burst damage, and that could stack up to 40 times. So she was kind of this engine to the poison synergy, the single target damage provider that meant to take poisoners to the next level, the poison engine. But that was also her only interaction with poison, and so far it didn't turn out quite as successful as developers wanted to. Now, how is that already relevant for us? Number one, with them giving us these patch notes, it's fairly likely for us to see her in May or at maximum the month after. Outside of that, we also have Phelan now arriving on Friday, which also is focused on poison. So if Numera comes into the game and if Numera becomes better, that unit also inadvertently gets buffed. So let's see and compare what we can have a look at. So the talent adjustment innate, so the talent right here. Innate gains 1 Grimthorn Spike with basic attack, which is the same thing. When granted 4 Grimthorn Spikes, each basic attack has a 50% chance to launch a Grimthorn Spike, dealing 400% damage, inflicting a stack of poison on the target for 10 seconds and restoring 40 rage. So if you look at this right here, when the hero already has 4 Grimthorn Spikes, triggering talent recovers 50 rage. Now you also get 1 extra stack of poison, and you get, so they did get a bit of a nerf on the rage, maybe your ult cost gets lower. But overall, you add in poisons and you add in a 50% chance at 400% damage, which is huge. So overall, the sand is now way better, and we finally have that poison synergy also from herself. Nature's Wrath is the ultimate. The ultimate currently immediately gains 2 extra Grimthorn Spikes, bring her up to 6, and then she launches all these Grimthorn Spikes to random enemies in range after charging for a short period, each dealing 280. So at maximum you're looking at 120 out of 1800, so 1680, yeah, 1680% is what it was before. But you also see that it has a very, very low rage cost at 400 and a very short duration at 3. Furthermore, she's a piercer. That's a ground unit. But hey, let's check out what they changed. So we still gain 2 spikes and we still launch them to random enemies in range. But each spike now deals up to 520% damage, meaning we are almost doubling the damage. So 6 spikes at 520% is going to bring us to 3120%, so we're almost doubling the damage, and also inflicting a stack of poison, meaning she in her ultimate inflicts 6 stacks of poison and deals over 3000 damage. Now, poison would branch, which is her passive, Grimthorn spikes fired during the ultimate inflict an extra stun for 0.5111.5 seconds. When at least 4 spikes hit the same target within a short time, we're triggering a toxic surge that can be more dangerous. Okay, so let's check this out, because this is a lot to take in. Inflicts a stun at 3 seconds, which has been changed to a stun at 1.5 seconds. Inflict an extra stun. Let's see. Hit the same target in a short period. So it looks like instead of 1 3-second stun, you're getting 6 1.5 second stuns. And then we have the Toxic Surge, which here currently caps out at 60% damage, which is now changed to 50% damage. So it's a nerf to the raw damage potential of Toxic Surge. But what else do we have here? Within the short time triggers Toxic Surge, so 10% less. But Toxic Surge currently, to keep it in mind, currently inflicts magic damage, so 60% per stack up to 40 stacks, and the change is consumes the target poison stacks up to 30 stacks, so less stacks consumed, and deals magic damage by a certain percentage based on the number of consumed stacks. I think it's overall just a slight nerf to her surge potential. I don't think it's anything positive, just from looking at the numbers there. So less overall consumption, meaning technically you can do it more times, but still also less of a multiplier. But if you look at the numbers again, you have a 1500% damage burst every time you remove 30 poison stacks. Next up, we have Nature's Grasp. Nature's Grasp is this right here, where each Grimthorn spike, which is the one she shoots with just her ultimate, or did shoot with just her ultimate, also inflicts Grimthorn Roots, which deals continuous shoot damage equal to 30% of the caster's attack per second, and it stacks up to 6 times, so at full stacks during a ultimate hit. Has been changed to each Grimthorn spike hit inflicts Grimthorn Roots on the enemies and reduces their damage by 20, 20, 20, 30% for 6 seconds. So overall, once again, we have another source of damage reduction. So the Esotericists now have 3, and Physia, Enid, Numera. The Piercers are getting their first source of damage reduction in Numera herself. And the continuous shoot damage equal to 30% cannot be dispelled, seems to stay the same. Yes, that seems to stay the same. Okay, also she deals magic damage as a fighter, which is quite nice. Next up, we have the Awakenings that have been touched. So let's check it out, move everything over. So the A1 was heals the hero for 20% of the true damage dealt by Grimthorn Roots. Has been changed to ignores 20% magic rest when attacking enemies. This effect increases by an extra 5% each time the ultimate is cast, up to an extra 45% increase, so after 5 ultimates. This is huge. Like, 45% permanent magic rest ignore is absolutely incredible, and it looks like they're trying to at least make another reliable source of breaking the Abyss 1 shield, though we do need another single target poisoner for that to truly work. But hey, A3, we had during the ultimate increases damage by 25, and Grimthorn Spikes guarantees a crit, is now changed to increase damage by 25, and Grimthorn Spikes and Toxic Surge will guarantee a crit hit when dealing damage. Not that important, but it's a 25% damage increase. And then the A5 is heals the hero for 20% of true damage dealt by Grimthorn. So kind of like swapping the A4 into the A1 and making it more stronger, better. So, okay, interesting. Now, skilled optimization, Thorned Rose. Diao. Diao is getting a buff change, fix, whatever you may want to call it. So let's pick out Diao and talk about what's happening. It's honestly a very minor one, but it is a quite nice one. And that is right here. What it says is Thorned Rose, just a Song of Thorough, continuously applies penetration increase to 2 other allies with the highest attack in range. But what can sometimes happen is if you have an Elwyn on the field who has a base attack of over 5,000, she might end up with more attack than, for example, your marksman, and then all of a sudden your Elwyn is getting the penetration increase, which is useless, which is why it is now getting changed to increase the give the penetration increase to 2 other non-healer allies in range. So just a bit of QoL, nothing game changing. And then you have the optimized the issue where summons or traps interfere with commander's hero deployment on their occupied tiles. So what this means is that no longer are you going to go into a, let's say, run of guild boss, going to pick yourself a Wukong, going to place down said Wukong, he's going to summon all his clones, and whoopsie daisy, you just gotta wait until the summons disappear, because would you look at this, he's blocking 4 tiles by himself. So the way this works is now you are going to be able to place units directly on the tiles of summons, causing said summons to die, and then having these units have to force themselves to summon a new one. I already see an interesting interaction with that and Wukong getting rage upon summoning his clones. But overall, it is a nice QoA and it works for everything from some Wukong's clones to Cyrus's skeletons. Kai's traps also count as summons apparently. Dahlia's roses, Elwyn with her wood elf, I with her ice crystals, which is humongous, and then Kyuk with his poison trap. The same thing is apparently also true for Wailing Skull, the artifact. Then you have the Honor's Gauntlet, where they're changing the matchmaking window, which is honestly not that important. Commander Skill Balance Adjustment. This is either live arena or the new 2v2, 2-on-2 co-op game mode, but nothing relevant for us at the moment. And then right here, fixed an issue where attack speed was not affecting the rage region basic in the displayed attributes. The correct rage region will be shown after the fix. So it's pretty much just you being able to see how much rage region you gain once you have attack speed on your character, because the higher your attack speed on your character, the faster he attacks, the less rage he gains. So if you go higher in rage region and higher in attack, it does kind of change out in the end. What it means for most of you is that if you want the fastest ultimates on a cost generator, that you don't want to build them with any attack speed, just rage region. And outside of that, it doesn't really have any relevance, because the strongest characters in the DPS sense are still those that attack the fastest, even if they ult less in comparison. Because even though, for example, Arrogance is going to ult more, Arrogance's ults themselves are going to be less powerful because he attacks less times during these ultimates. So overall, an interesting choice for balancing and nothing that truly affects you unless you're talking about purely utility focused characters. Alright, players will be marked as defeated and unable to take revenge after a certain number of revenge attempts against the same opponent. Maybe that fixes PvP. Arena number 1 hogging, I have no idea. Demon soldiers can be bought in the Awakening shop. Interesting, so more things to do with the Awakening currency. Guild War attack codes, which is the auto Guild War attack feature. But this is the important part. Or technically 2 of them, but... So, Gear Raid 1, 2 and 3 are going to get stage 22, 23, 24, meaning overall you're looking at probably more gear sets, maybe not, probably more materials, maybe not. It is hard to say, but what is true is that all of a sudden we have even more endgame pieces of content, exactly 9. Now the real question is, how is it going to work? I would expect 22, 23 and 24 to again follow the same principle as the earlier stages, just making slight adjustments and being overall more difficult. So if we look at the current 8 recommended BP, I would expect that BP to be closer to like the 1 million mark, just as like a raw idea of how difficult it's going to be. And I would say it's realistic to assume that stages 24 on all gear rates should be equal to the difficulty of beating Gear Dungeon 1 and Gear Dungeon 2 at stage 10. Also, this whole scenario right here brings more value back to more and more forgotten heroes, because now all of a sudden, even though the Beatrix buff was quite amazing, now imagine being able to use her in a stage where once again AoE is king. I know we don't really have to talk about Ingrid, we don't have to talk about Kigiri, but these units are also going to be absolute annihilators. Once more, you're gonna see a surge in usage of Lucille, Artemis, and Zealous. I don't expect them to get rid of the anti-heal mechanics, so that is going to be a sight to see. And most interesting should be two things: how hard are the stages and what are the rewards? Do we get more gear? Do we get different gear? Do we get a ability to farm tier 3 gear for stamina? Is it going to be different from the gear dungeons? That's the most important part. Though something else that you might notice is that added phase 6 to the Tower of Deception. What that means is that the stages, we are currently going up to stage 25, are going to be changing to being stage 30, is what I see out of this. So it's going to be stage 26, 27, 28, 29, 30 and Hidden Chamber 6. Yep. And then increase the bonus provided by awakened legendary lord heroes to affiliated demon soldiers. That is kind of crazy. I think Yova, Praetus and all of them are gonna have some fun with this. You GVG people are in for a treat, or in for raw hell, probably raw hell. But yeah, also Abyss 1 difficulty now has its own independent team setup separate from other difficulties, meaning that just because you've played Nightmare 4 with a different team than Abyss 1, it's not gonna mumble up your whole team again, giving us a nice end of Q and QoL to this patch notes. And as always, we see each other in the next one. The Forerunner update is slated to arrive in around 2 days, so I can give you a showcase on Friday if everything does arrive on the test server. And as usual, we see each other in the next one. Peace!